Hello everybody, this is TipTop MTG here today with another Magic the Gathering video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about MTG Arena and the state of the game for August 2020. For those of you who don't know what the state of the game is, it's essentially a monthly post where they tell you what's coming in that update and sometimes give you a little look into the future. And so you're going to kind of see my first impressions to everything they say today, so I'm going to read through it, give you some other information that you might not have, maybe point out some things that aren't exactly obvious, and then just give you my thoughts. So why don't we get started? So first off, we've known for a while this update is going to include Amonkhet Remastered. So yeah, the cards from Amonkhet and Hour of Devastation will be combined into a now revealed 338 card set that can be drafted. It'll be legal and historic, and yeah, that's going to cause a lot of shakeup. So why don't we read what they have to say about it? Alrighty, who's ready to rise among the worthy once again? Next week heralds the return of Amonkhet and Hour of Devastation to MTG Arena in the aptly named Amonkhet Remastered. Let's look at some of the nitty-gritty, sun-blistering, sandblasted details. So, there's going to be 338 cards total, so that is more than the typical, than Amonkhet and Hour of Devastation. Now, that's not the amount of them combined, so they probably took out a lot of the commons. They most likely took out a couple rares or mythics that maybe aren't ready for historic. So something like the Scarab God that may, now obviously they could have the Scarab God in there, they could have the Scarab God not in there, but that is really that's yet to be seen. We'll have to see. But just so you know, Amonkhet was 269 cards, so yeah, that's about 68 cards more, 69. So just keep that in mind, that there are going to be missing cards. You will not have all of the cards in there, obviously. Then they say it's obtainable in boosters, limited events, sealed in draft, and through crafting. So unlike Jumpstart, it's not going to be a month-long event, and you'll be able to buy booster packs, and you'll be able to draft and play sealed. There's going to be a focus on creating an interesting, repeatable, limited player experience. So they're trying to take the best of both Amonkhet and Hour of Devastation into a fun little limited event, which is cool. And it's supposed to provide support for historic and eventually pioneer constructed formats, which is what's concerning me, is if they're going to take out some of the broken mythics, then, well, those are probably going to be valuable in pioneer, so maybe they're going to leave the broken mythics, which then means we're going to have to deal with things like Scarab God in historic, so it'll be really interesting to see. And then they say it's been a few years since they've gone to Amonkhet, and they kind of do this cool little showcase of here's what the user interface looked like before, and here's what it looks like now. First off, it looks like they have a new Amonkhet board, and I really like it. I like the whole little design of it. Yeah, looking pretty good. I also don't know what this is for, per se. This could be something, I guess this is normally where the chat icon goes, so it's probably something along those lines, but that's kind of interesting to see that this looks a little bit different here, so keep that in mind. While many of the mechanics from the original block will be familiar, cycling, counters, casting cards from your graveyard, others have been remastered to fit the updated look and feel of MTG Arena. For example, both Embalm and Eternalized cards will appear as near-hand castables once their respective card is in the graveyard, and featured a themed enters the battlefield animation when using either ability, so they're bringing it up to date so it looks closer to what everything else looks like. The keyword action exert now uses an interface like sacrifice abilities. When attacking with a creature, you'll be able to choose between attacking normally versus exerting. So when you sacrifice something, a little like pop-up box appears, and it's like, do you really want to sack this? And then you just do that. So it's going to be very similar with exert. Exerted creatures will feature arrows when they are attacking, and will have specific tap visuals to remind players that it doesn't untap during its owner's next untap step. Once that untap tap has passed, the card will appear tapped as normal. For more information about how all the returning mechanics work, check out Amonkhet and Hour of Devastation articles. So these are, I believe, not new articles. These are the originals. Where to find previews? So they're doing a preview season, which is a little weird because, okay, yes, they are cutting to, 200 cards? So it would be actually easier for them to say, here are the cards that are not going to be in it, but I will be covering them. If they have this little article here. So on the 10th, 11th, and 12th, there are going to be 6 people spoiling it. So on the 10th, I will, be talking about it. On the 11th, 12th, I will be talking about what cards are in there. I'll tell you what I think they mean for the limited environment, historic. So yeah, keep that in mind that we will not know all of the cards until the 12th, but along there we'll be able to see some interesting inclusions. So yeah, stick around for that. I will be covering all of that. Either way, next they say the Amonkhet Remastered events. The premium draft is going to be from the 13th of August to the 17th of September, so a little over a month. I assume this will rotate in and out. It seems like they kind of want to keep maybe one premier historic draft, or like draft from the past, and then keep the current draft there. And then sealed will only be there for a little over a week, 8 days. So yeah, if you want to play sealed, you got to do that really quickly. Now, here we have some information about rotation, which is pretty awesome. So, Rotation and Renewal 2021 edition. Well, Monday's banned and restricted announcement is certainly a taste of what's to come. It's somehow August already, which means that rotation is just around the corner. Next month, Standard bids farewell to Guilds of Ravnica, Ravnica Allegiance, War of the Spark, and Core Set 2021 as Zendikar rises once more. While these older sets continue to find a happy home in Historic, for those of you looking forward to the year ahead, why wait? So, here we have a little bit of a graphic. So, we knew that the next set coming after Zendikar Rising was labeled Equestrian. Then Fencing, I think, has been said somewhere, but here's something I don't know has been confirmed, but Core Set 2022 is happening. I don't know if there is that much doubt in it happening, but I think that people will... Like it's just nice to see a little bit of confirmation that yes, they're not discontinuing core sets. We will see core set 2022, and from my knowledge, this is the first time they've acknowledged that. And so yeah, that's interesting to see. I think most people could have predicted it, but it is nice to get that confirmation. Then they say Standard 2021. Starting on August 13th, we'll be adding 2 additional, albeit temporary, queues for players to join. Standard 2021 Play and Standard 2021 Ranked. Both queues are best of 1 and will allow you to only allow decks featuring cards from Throne of Eldraine forward. These queues let you preview what rotation will look like in case you want to get a head start on building or just take a break from Standard. It's almost like they know it's not fun to play Standard, although the banned and restricted announcement did make it very nice. You know, there's a lot less, I would say, broken stuff going on, but it's kind of interesting to see that they are basically saying, hey, we know you can't wait for rotation, please keep playing our game even though Standard kind of stinks right now. Here's a queue where all the bad cards, not all the bad cards, a couple of the bad cards are gone, so that's kind of interesting to see. It's also interesting to see that they're doing a ranked version of it, but no best of 3. I guess that makes sense. Traditional is meant to be traditional. These are supposed to be more interesting things, so I think this is actually a pretty good choice to do this. I mean, they have enough players playing where they don't have to worry about diluting the queues. And I don't know whether this is going to be one of those things where if you go, like, they say they're queues, so they're probably going to be separate things, or is it like if I go to the play queue and I enter a deck that only has cards from Throne of Eldraine forward, will I be placed in the Standard 2021 play queue? I'm not sure, but yeah. Then they say these queues will be available until September 17th, at which point timelines converge, rotation happens, and Standard 2021 and Standard become one and the same. Additionally, players can look forward to the Standard 2021 Artisan event August 22nd through August 27th. So not only are they going to have a version of the basically Standard that doesn't have all those cards from Guilds of Ravnica to M20, but there'll also be an Artisan version, cutting down what you can use even more. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. It reduces the power level. It gives people a little taste of what's to come. And I think it's interesting to see that they think that this is necessary, and I think it's them kind of saying, oh, we know that there's something kind of wrong with Standard right now, but that's not exactly the topic for this video, so why don't we move on. Renewal, the egg is back. The players who have logged in prior to September 17th will receive a special renewal gift for them once rotation happens to help kickstart their new Standard collection. You'll find our green little vessel nesting in your profile page. More information on what's incubating inside will be announced in early September, but you should expect some bonus in-game card rewards, Zendikar Rising boosters, and a special card sleeve to commemorate the occasion. So last time we got some extra things on the Mastery Pass, including a couple of styles and a couple of packs. And then we also got a bunch of random cards, random rares and mythics. Now, I expect the random rares and mythics, it looks like Zendikar Rising boosters, that's probably going to stay the same. And then sleeves, that's kind of interesting. So, yeah, you'll notice that there'll be a little renewal egg right here that will let you know that you are going to get those rewards. Then they talk about the updated deck, new player decks. So Our new player decks are getting their yearly overhaul to ensure they're rotation proof come September, to ensure all players have a deck ready to go for Standard 2021. If you've already completed the new player color challenge, or before that account mastery, will automatically add the 2021 deck list to your collection, building from your current collection and granting any cards you're missing. So let's take a mono or a green white deck or whatever. These were visible at one point. Let's say they have a mythic Elgar Gargaroth, and if you don't have an Elgar Gargaroth, you will get one for free. But if you already have one, you will not get an additional one. So let's say you have the deck uses 4 shocks, you have 3, you'll get 1, and that's it. And if you had 4 shocks, you don't get wildcard progress. You don't get anything. If it only had 2 shocks and you had 3, you don't get that 4th shock. So that's why I looked at the decks and I was like, okay, I'm going to avoid crafting any of these cards so that I can get them. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like. Another change, will automatically add the 2021 deck to your collection. Another change ensures that the monocolor decks you receive after the tutorial matches stay rotation proof both this year and beyond. To do this, the updated 2021 decks are built from an MTG Arena base set featuring cards that will stay legal in best of 1 matches for now until further notice. So the monocolor decks are going to be built out of specialty MTG Arena cards. Now there were already a couple of these within this Magic that are within MTG Arena that are legal in best of 1, but it's looking like if they're 4 decks, 60 cards, let's say 36, maybe 18 new cards per deck. That means that there's going to be a bunch of cards that may actually end up seeing standard play that aren't legal anywhere else. So that's kind of interesting. Also, that means all of those new cards will be legal in historic, and so that means we're going to get a couple new cards from here as well. We work closely with Studio X to select introductory cards that are good for new player learning to Magic the Gathering for the very first time to provide obvious choices for card players looking to upgrade their deck. We continue to update the 2-color decks every rotation. So instead of having to give out, 15 decks, they can just give out 10. I think that's probably smart, but having them legal in best of 1, I think you risk having one of those cards be really powerful, and now it's like, oh, what's the meta? Oh, are you on MTG Arena? If so, you have this one, weird card, and if you're not, then, it's something else. So I think that this could be both problematic and awesome. Next, we have them talking about Jumpstart. This is a friendly reminder that Jumpstart will be leaving our available events on August 16th, which is when this update is happening. No, because it's happening in 7 days, 11, I think it's happening the day after the update, or exactly the update, I'm not sure. Point is, because that's happening in 12 days, I don't know how many days it is until the update, because I don't think they've actually mentioned exactly the day of the update. Normally, it'll be a Thursday, so it'll probably be next Thursday, so keep that in mind. Yeah. At least for now. For those of you who love the format, don't panic. We love it too, and it's a matter of when, not if, we bring it back. So it sounds like they are going to bring it back eventually, which is cool. In the meantime, we hope Amonkhet Remastered and our standard 2021 queues will provide new and exciting ways to play. So it seems like an event that maybe jumps in and out, and maybe they'll do another Jumpstart with updated cards, more cards, and then maybe it comes back. That'd be kind of interesting. Then they want to talk about Brawl. So a few things we want to call out for the August update. First, we'll be making some adjustments to matchmaking, specifically how we weigh certain commanders. So they label them. So we have things like Niv Mizzet Reborn and Nico Bolas Dragon God. While those two are not an exhaustive list, our goal is to nudge players with more competitive decks towards each other and give a little more breathing room for the decks running more late, or people running more laid back decks. And I think that's perfect. I think you do run into the issue of maybe someone is running a Niv Mizzet deck that isn't competitive. Maybe they're just doing it because it's the only 5-color commander they own. But I think that it makes a lot of sense, because, like, if I want to play a Vraska Death Touch Matters deck from More of the Spark, I'm being matched up against these, Kinnan decks that are obviously much better than mine because of just their commander. And because Brawl's meant to be so casual, it's nice to be able to build. That's what I loved about Brawl. Before there was a meta, when there wasn't a solid queue, there really wasn't a meta. But as soon as we got that queue, a meta started to form a little bit more, and that means that it's a little harder to just build whatever you want. So I like this change. I know there are probably going to be some people who are upset that, when they're playing their Kinnan deck, they can't just get free wins from people conceding. But yeah. While these two are not an exhaustive list, their goal is to nudge people. We'll be watching how all these changes affect matches and matchmaking, and we'll be tweaking things to make sure all players are getting the kind of matches that match their deck style. So, cool. Second, they'll be banning Ruined Halo and Standard Brawl effective August 13th. So August 13th, I believe, is now. That is when the update is most likely going to happen, and that makes sense. So you will have a couple days after the update to play Jumpstart. As a general reminder, Brawl maintains a separate ban list from Constructed Standard, and players will not receive wild cards. So the reason this is that Ruined Halo says name a card, you have protection from the chosen card name, so you can name their commander and boom, they can't hit you with it anymore unless they can remove it. So there could be a situation where your whole deck is a mono red Voltron deck where you're just trying to kill them with your commander and you're in mono red, so you can't get rid of the enchantment, and then that basically just says you win the game. Now, they say last but certainly not least, Ruined Halo and Gideon's Intervention, which is a card from Amonkhet. So we have our first spoiler for Amonkhet, Gideon's Intervention. Those will be added to the Historic Brawl ban list. Gideon's Intervention is an enchantment that when it enters the battlefield, choose a card name, and then it says your opponents can't cast spells with the chosen name, and then prevent all damage that would be dealt to you and permanents controlled by the sources with the chosen name. So yeah, essentially this is Ruined Halo, but better. Obviously it's a little more expensive, but they just don't want that effect in Brawl, so they're adding it to the Historic Brawl ban list that goes in place on August 13th. With our next planned Historic Brawl event planned for FNM at Home event on September 4th, it bears repeating, we'll continue to offer Historic Brawl as one of our rotating events, and we won't be reevaluating until after rotation, which it may seem like a while, but I believe rotation is next month, so yeah, that's coming right around the corner. Nothing nefarious, no pass or fail criteria for if or when we change the frequency or amount of support. We're just curious. Brawl was originally designed as a standard format, and we want to get a clearer picture of what happens when it goes through rotation. Yeah, they really didn't have Brawl last rotation, so they just want to see what that looks like, and then they'll probably, I'm assuming that not in the September update, but the October update, we're going to see Historic Brawl as a queue, which will be exciting. And actually, I wouldn't be surprised if that also came along with a Playblade rework, meaning when you click play and see all the different events. Either way, here we can see that Gideon's Intervention here is banned and Ruined Halo is banned. Doesn't look like there's anything else new on the ban list. I think those are good things. It's interesting. They're banning things from Amonkhet before they even were announced, but yep. Next, they have Deck Builder Quality of Life. So there's just some extra functionality you can do. You can talk about loyalty, flavor text, artist, mana cost. You can ask if, oh, this is an awesome one. You can do, booster, which will show cards that are available within boosters. So you can show a set and then just cards that are available in boosters, and that makes it easier to see what cards you're actually missing. There's just lots of awesome things you can do with this. So yeah. Then they say, return to the world of Bolas's Reign with Amonkhet Remastered, the first but certainly not last MTG Arena only remastered set. Our next game update should be arriving on August 13th, so keep an eye on the status page for latest information. Okay, so what can we take away from this article? Well, Amonkhet Remastered is coming out. There's going to be a spoiler season for it. Hit that subscribe button so you can be notified when I come out with videos talking about all these spoilers. There is going to be Amonkhet Remastered events. Rotation is coming around the corner. With the update, we'll be receiving new player decks. That also meant we were allowed to have more decks last time, so that's pretty cool. Standard 2021, there's a new queue for that. Renewal, there's now the egg here that doesn't do anything really this month, but just you can now log in to claim those rewards. There's updated new player decks that we're getting. Jumpstart is leaving, Brawl is getting a little better with matchmaking, and there's some band changes. You can now search for extra things in the deck builder, and that's about it. Now, obviously, there's always a little bit more that can be found within the, patch notes. So if there's anything exciting, I will also do a video covering the patch notes. Yeah, we will have to see. If you guys enjoyed this video and found it useful, please hit that like button. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed, please hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.